Shalom to my brothers and sisters in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach and to the scattered Hebrew Israelites who are throughout the four corners of the earth. Shalom, shalom. And I bring you a great message today. And the title of this word is The Mystery of the Vine and the name Yahuwah and Yahushua in the King James 1611. But first, I like to open up with this message to make things clear. The purpose of this video is to enlighten and to edify the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. This is not for debating. Also, it shall reveal how the enemies of Yahuwah are able to hide themselves with using the King James 1611 or the King James Version Bible, such as speaking the same names and language that is written in the Holy Bible. There are many wolves in sheep clothing, leading the sheep of Yahushua HaMashiach away from Yahuwah, the Most High El. In addition, my people, this video will give us the understanding on the importance to study the languages that the scriptures were written in, which shall give understanding what they are truly saying. For in the Gentile tongue, the words of Yahuwah given are not in the same effect or force as in the Hebrew tongue. This is why so many are getting away from the English names of the Bible and resorting back to the Hebrew names. And you shall see why. Because there is proof in the King James 1611. And I'm a witness of this because I have a copy of this book and it's written out plain as day. The evidence is there. And remember, my people, Yahuwah knows who you are calling on when you speak the Gentile language. For he looks at your spiritual heart, the spirit of whom you serve. So let us begin. This lesson shall be very deep, my people. You want to get your pen and paper, and you want to make time for this video because it has to be thorough. For we know how the children of Satan works. And before I proceed further, I plead the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach upon this video. And if anyone tried to stop or come against this video, I ask you, Yahuwah, to afflict an evil judgment upon them until they repent and do what is right in the sight of your eyes. For I pray for your truth to go forth, for it is time for all lies to be revealed, and for your truth to be revealed to the whole world. And I pray for your children to receive understanding of this word. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it. So as you look at this picture here, I want to blow this up because I really want you to see this picture here, because it pertains to the title of this video. The mystery of the vine and the name Yahuwah and Yahushua in the King James 1611. And we shall open up with this verse here. For here we have a picture of grapes hanging from a grapevine. For it is written in John chapter 15, verse 5, Yahushua HaMashiach said, I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit, for without me ye can do nothing. He also said in John chapter 15, verse 1 to 2, he said, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husband. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away. And every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. And I also want to confirm, when you read that chapter, and when you get to verse 3, there's a precept. And that precept is John chapter 13, verse 10. And it pertains to the washing of the feet. For I know there are those who preach against water baptism. And I won't be surprised if they preach against the washing of the feet. But our Lamb set the example, so we follow the Lamb. Okay? Other precepts are for verse 2, Matthew chapter 15, verse 13. In that verse, it is written that, but he answered and said, every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. In John chapter 14, verse 6, Yahushua HaMashiach saith unto him, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. And in John chapter 3, verse 35, the Father loveth the Son, and hath given all things into his hand. He that believeth on the Son have everlasting life, and he that believeth not the Son shall not see life, but the wrath of Yahuwah abideth on him. The precept for verse 35 is Matthew 11, verse 27. Verse 36 precept is Habakkuk, forgive me if I mispronounced that, chapter 2, verse 4, and 1 John chapter 5, verse 10. And the last opening verse is John chapter 9, verse 5. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of that world, and we know that light dwells in us. So you can see, as we just read these opening scriptures, it pertains to this title, the mystery of the vine, and the name Yahuwah and Yahushua in the King James 1611 gives you something to think about. Take this time to pause your screen and to look at this picture and to meditate on the scriptures that we just read. Okay, so now for the next area, we're going to take a look at my people. We're going to look at the titles of Yahushua HaMashiach, who is the son of Yahuwah. For it is written in 1 John chapter 41, it says that he first findeth his own brother Simon, and saith unto him, we have found the Messiah, which is being interpreted the Christ. So when you begin to learn the titles and the name of Yahushua HaMashiach in the King James 1611 Bible, and you go back and you look at the language, the Hebrew and the Korean Greek, it would begin to reveal all truth. For in this word we have learned that the Messiah means the anointed. And the Greek word for Messiah is Messias, okay? And for the Hebrew word for that is Mashach, which is H4889. And there's different ways people may spell this, okay? Which is confirmed in Daniel chapter 9, verse 25 to 26. And the Greek concordance number for Messiah is NG 3323. And this word can be found in 1 John chapter can be found in John chapter 1, verse 41, and John chapter 4, verse 25. And then take this time to pause your screen so you can see how they spell the Greek word for Christ, for it is spelled as Krios. And I need to change one thing so I can make this easier. Sorry about that. Because today in the English language, we say the word Christ for the word Messiah. And when the Father helped me to look at this verse, I asked myself, my people, why are there two Greek words for the word Messiah? Because when I look both of them up, they both mean anointed, but why there's two? So this what began of the truth to be revealed. Let's start with the word Christ. The word Christ comes from a Greek word called Christo, G5547, and mean anointed. Okay? But then that word comes from another word which means cryo. G5548, it means to anoint, to smear or rub with oil. Okay. Then that word Creole comes from Crayomaya, which is G55330, and it means to use, to borrow/loan, to entreat or furnish what was needed. And here, when you look it up, it would say in the Blue Letter Bible.org website that it was probably akin to this word, Cryomaya, through the idea of contact. And this word you want to keep in the back of your mind because it's going to relate to another word that we're going to talk about in this video. Now, for the Hebrew word to be anointed is Mashach, okay? And that means to smear, anoint, consecrate, spread a liquid, okay? So when you look at the word Christ in the Greek in comparison to the word Messiah in the Hebrew, which is Mashiach, their spellings do not match. You see, my people, when you study the word and the language, you begin to realize the truth of what the enemies of Yahuwah have done. And there's a reason for that. Remember, they are hiding behind the masses. They are hiding behind the Gentile language, for they do not want you to know whom they serve. So now this word Christ led me to look at the word Christian. Let's go there. When you look at the word Christian, it appears in the Bible 3 times. And according to the concordance, it say a follower of Christ. And these are the verses you can find it in Acts 11:26, Acts 26, verse 28, and 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 16. So when I did a research on the history of the word Christian, it comes from the Greek word Christianos, which is G5546. And that word comes from Christos, which is G5547, which means anointed. That's what the word we just got finished talking about. Then that word comes from, or what we talked about earlier, from Creole, which that word is coming from Cryomea. Okay. However, since the Hebrew word to anoint is Mashach, therefore the Hebrew word for follower of Christ should be Mashai. Excuse my tongue. Mashai. Hayam, or Nets, Rium, okay, which is H5139, Acts 24, verse 5. That is the verse to confirm what should be the name of the followers of Christ. Because this English word Christian doesn't pertain to that, and I have proof that I will show you. When I went to the Blue Letter org website, when I looked up these words, it led me back to this word Messianic. Okay? And Messianic means a belief in Yahushua HaMashiach. And another way to say that, Yahushua, the Messiah. So when I looked up this word, this history, it really started being used around in the mid-19th century, which comes from a French word, Messianic. Excuse my tongue, I'm terrible. Which is from Macy, which originated from Messiah. And you can tell this came from the rabbis, okay, when you look this up. And this link will be in the video description box. So today you will see the true Hebrew Israelites will call themselves Messianic Jews or Messianic Israelites instead of Christian, because as you see in this video, as we go further down, you will come to find out that the word Christian is a pagan word. It is a heathen word, for it has a deeper meaning than what we are told today. Okay? So now we're also going to look at this word, Nazarite. And in the Hebrew is Nazariah, I hope I pronounced that correctly, but if I don't, forgive me. So when we are called Nazarene, that is the correct word for the followers of Yahushua HaMashiach. So again, I want to repeat this to make this clear. When you look at the Hebrew word to anoint, which is Mashach, and when you look at the Hebrew word for Messiah, which can be found in Daniel chapter 9, you will learn that our correct word for the followers of Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah, should be Masha'ahim or Nesraim, which is basically, we are called Nazarenes or Mashach Hayim. Okay? Take this time to pause your screen to look this over. Now, this photo here that you see is just confirmation of what I was just telling you earlier to show you that the word Christian actually should be Nazarene. Now, this comes from the Gentiles websites. They're telling you so many words that we should be called Nazarenes and not Christians. And when we study the Hebrew meaning behind Nazarene, you will see why. Okay, take this time to pause your screen, and that link will be in the video description box as well. Now, for the links dealing with the Greek word from Christianos to Cryomea, what I will do, I'm going to put the concordance number in this one of these links, and then you can trace it from there. Therefore, also, I will also put the concordance number for Mashach, which means the Hebrew word to anoint, and for Mashiach, which means the Messiah. That would be in the video description box, so you can do a further study for yourself. Take this time to pause your screen to look at that. And the same thing would be done with the word Nazarite. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, well, Christian was used to ridicule the true believers. So when I looked up this word, or what most people was talking about, it came from Cretan. Now, Cretan means to be a fool, an idiot, or to be afflicted with cretinism. And that is dwarfism and/or retardation. Now, this is the reason why you see me put a question mark on why this word is related to Christian, because when you look at this definition, the definition don't match up when you look at the meaning from the Bible, when you look at your strong concordance. Also, what I learned that Cretan also came from a Swiss French word known as Creston. Okay. So as I did a further study, I learned that this word here, Cretan, is tied into this word, Cryomaya. And I'll show you that. But first, I want to give you the scriptures to show you why this word Cretan doesn't match up with the word Christian. Because I know that many sources would say that the word Christian is a word of scorn, and that means to be called a gullible dumb beast. And the Latin word for Christian is Christianos, and the Greek word is Christianos. Okay? Let me say the Latin word again. Christianus, and the Greek word for it is Christianos. But when you look at the word, because the word confirmed to us what is the true definitions of the follower of Christ. And the proof that we have is in Acts chapter 26, verse 28, because Agrippa said this. Then Agrippa said unto Paul, almost thou persuadest me to be a Christian. If you notice the context of this verse, Christian is not a negative word the way it's being used. So what I'm saying to you is this is evidence to prove that there has been some manipulation in the scripture with the word pertaining to the follower of Christ. For we learn now it should have been Nazarene, or it should have been Mashai Yakim. Those are the two words that has been used, or Messianic, not the word Christian. Also, when you look at Acts chapter 11, verse 26, it also says that when he had found him, he brought him unto Antioch. And it came to pass that a whole year they assembled themselves with the church and taught much people. And the disciples were called Christians first in Antioch. Do you see how this word is being used? It's not being used as a negative word. It's being used as a positive word. So this is why you see me put a question mark on why this word is related to Cretan when you look it up in today's dictionaries and websites. Okay. So I went to this website here called sabbathcovenant.com, which also was confirming what I was thinking about this word, that the true word for the follower of Christ, and I'm going to blow this up but you can really see it, should be Nazarene. Okay. Which is confirmed in Acts chapter 24, verse 5. Bring this down just a little bit. Okay, take this time now to pause your screen and you can read what he had to say on that part too as well. Which now the word Cretan led me to this word, which is Christos. And Christo is a Greek word, and it's G5543, and it means good. Now, take this time to pause your screen. I'm going to bring this back down so this won't be so big. We can get most of this information. Yeah, but take this time to pause your screen to get this information here. And Christos, when you look this word up, it means to be good, better, easy, gracious, kind. Okay, and this word comes from Cryomea. Okay, now do you see the connection? When we looked at the history of the word Christian, which comes from Christianos, which all the way leads back to Cryomea. Okay, so in today's resources, I can see why they would try to relate the word Cretan to Christians, but when you look at the word of the Most High, which is the final say-so of all things, that Cretans should not be anywhere, in any form in relation to the word Christian. Okay, if they're trying to say that Christian is the follower of Christ or the follower of the Messiah. So take this time now to pause your screen to read this information here. And pause here for this information. But I really want you to take a look at forms and translation. These are the different variation of the word Christo, okay? And as again, I'm just going to re-emphasize about with this word Cretan / Creston. Christo, which probably explains the correlation to Christians, but none of these words correlate with the scriptures. And the word Nazarene and Mashach / Masonic is the true words for the followers of Yahushua HaMashiach. So now we're going to take a look at why some look at the word Christian and the word Christ being pagan. Okay, so when you do a research pertaining to the word Christo and Christian, you will learn that Rome was the center of Christo Mithras worship. Okay, so it is a form of pagan worship. And when you read about it, it does relate to Osiris, Helios, Krishna, which is known as Sanskrit for Christ, and Mithra. And Osiris and Mithra was called Christos, which mean good. Now we are beginning to see, by studying these words, looking at the Greek language, Koine Greek, as well as the Roman language and the Hebrew language, now we begin to see that how the wicked ones, who are the enemies of Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach, how they hiding behind these words. Because, see, the masses are thinking that they are follower of the son of Yahuwah, but they're actually not. They are actually the follower of Satan. And you will see as we go further in this video. So Osiris and Mithras was given the title Cresto, which means good. And when you do your study, you will find out that Mithras history is very much close to and familiar to the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach, and especially in the way of his birth. So when you look at this, it was easy for the Gentiles to cleave onto the gospel during the time of Constantine. It was easy for them to cleave onto this and to still keep their paganistic ways. And the word is so true because, see, with the Gentiles, they was not born into the covenant, into the law. They didn't, and therefore they didn't have much understanding on how to worship and to serve the Most High and of his true names. Okay. What would happen with the Gentiles, they would often combine the gospel with pagan worship, which is evident in the time of Constantine, for he did not want to let go of his pagan ways. He wanted a way to embrace it, but at the same time to be hidden, so it would seem like he was also a follower of Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay? So with the Romans, we know that they are really sun worshippers. And some of the names they have for it is like Helios, Sol, Invictus, which means invincible sun. And this is why today we celebrate Christmas, which is on December 25th, because it has nothing to do with the word of the Most High. This has had everything to do with Mithras. Okay? Also, we are seeing here that there's nothing new underneath the sun, for it goes back to Nimrod and Semiramis. And Semiramis is known as the queen of heaven and the queen of Babylon. And she had a son that was named Damu. And in the Babylon tongue, it was named Damuzai. And in the Hebrew tongue, his name was Tammuz. This is evident, which is also evident in the ancient Babylonians, the Egyptians, and the Greeks, for they all were worshiping Satan. So do you see how these words here is giving you a false deception? For you truly thinking they are worshiping Yahushua HaMashiach, the Messiah, but they're not. They actually represent Satan. And Satan has many names. I want to bring this up so you can really see it. Take this time to pause your screen. He's known as Baal, Belis, Beliar, Belial, Saturn, Jupiter, Baphomet, and his animals are the he-goat or the bull. And you will also see the bull associated with Moloch or Melech. And also you will find them being worshipped in pairs. So Satan will be worshipped with Lucifer. And Lucifer is Astaroth, Atar. I think I misspelled it, but it's just another way they spell it. Astaroth, Venus, meaning, and Aphrodite. This is where you have your Easter coming in with your Easter bunny and your Easter egg, because this is a goddess of fertility, love, good fortune, good faith, of war. I'm telling you, it goes really deep. So there's a video that will be listed in the description box to give you more understanding about Satan and Lucifer. Okay? So there's nothing new underneath the sun. So as we can see here, the word Christian and Christ is a vague and broad word, which provides a way for evil to hide behind these words. Now, man cannot discern who they truly serve because of this pagan heathen language that we speak today. And that their gods are similar to Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach gospel. So do you see how they can hide behind Christianity, in other words? Also, the Christ they call upon is not the same as the Messiah. And because the masses use these same Greek, Roman, and English words, which is hard to distinguish who they are serving. Which is hard to distinguish who they are serving, Yahuwah or Satan. Do you see where I'm going with this, my family? Another reason is that the masses are not aware, for they are not reading and studying the King James 1611 Bible. Now, as we go further in this video, you will begin to understand the importance of why you want to get your copy of the 1611 version. For the Most High left us clues in that book. Despite of what the enemies have done to that book, he left us clues. And only the children of the Most High would be able to see and find those clues. Now, the confirmation of what I just said to you can also be supported with this site, sabbathcovenant.com. For there he says, all followers of pagan Christ were called Christians. This is how the wolves are hiding themselves, my people, behind these pagan heathen names. Okay? He says that the follower of Yahushua, the Messiah, were called by a very specific name, and it was never Christians. It was Nazarene, which is supported in Acts 24:5 and Acts 28:22. And I want to blow this up because he also gives some very important information here. And I want you to see it. He says, as early as 200 BCE, there were pagan worship of Serapis that called themselves Christians. In the Vatican, one can view an original pagan relief depicting Mistras with the word Christos, Mistras, meaning good mistress. Mistraism was the main pagan religion of ancient Rome and became blended with the Messiah of Israel through the compromises of the Nicene Council, headed by Constantine and his son Crispus, 325 to 326 CE. The followers of Mistra, Constantine included, were called Christians. Do you see where this is coming about? Because see, the word Christians came later on after these scrolls was written. Okay? So that's when they begin to call themselves Christians. Okay? The Greco-Roman mindset of translator gave preference to the Greek over the Hebrew language. And this is very important. You want to listen up. The Greco-Roman mindset of translator gave preference to the Greek over the Hebrew language and played down the Hebrew terminology in order to make everything more acceptable to the pagan culture of the unwashed, uneducated masses. They literally blend the Holy Scriptures with the worship of the Greek pantheon, and that is the context in which Christianity was created. Do you see what he's telling you? So they blended their heathen ways with the gospel of Christ. And this is why they abstained from the Hebrew language, because if they kept that Hebrew language and used those Hebrew words, it would have revealed the truth about what they were truly doing. So now you begin to understand why my brothers and sisters do not call themselves Christians, nor do they call their faith Christianity, because it has nothing to do with the Most High. This go back to sun worship. This go back to idolatry. Okay? Idols. On his website, he also mentioned that he reinforced that the Hebrew Israelites' native tongue was not Greek. Even though my people translated it, and when you read the work of Josephus, you will learn why they translated in incorrect Greek, because it was due to the patronymies. Okay? So as you can see, when you translate a lot of this stuff in other languages, you can see where the deception can be easily brought in. Okay. I also want to read this to you, what he says here. He says, it's a promotion of the Jesuit to believe that the Messiah and his students spoke to one another and wrote everything down in Greek. So now we begin to understand that why they push this Greek so hard, because we are aware now that the New Testament is also written in Hebrew or Aramaic. Okay. But yet they push to us the New Testament in the Koine Greek form. There's a reason for that. So now we get the history and see that it was the Jesuits, okay? The truth is that Greek was a transitional language or translation of the original text, originally written in Hebrew, or the dialect of it, Syriac Aramaic. Remember, all the first Protestants were Catholics, and they have already been indoctrinated with the Jesuit teachings. What is practically unknown is the fact that there were Christians on earth before Yahushua HaMashiach was born, and they were pagans. Okay? The Greek word Christos has come to mean anointed, and this corresponds to the Hebrew word Mashach. What is not commonly known is that Osiris and Mithras were both called Crescistos, which mean good. The word was adopted from Gnostic paganism. The inscription Christos can be seen on a Mithras relief in the Vatican. During the time of Marcion, around 150 CE, Justin Martyr said that Christians were Christoi, or good men. Clement of Alexandria said, all who believe in Christ are called Christoi, that is, good men. Rome was the center of Christo mystery worship. So the adaptation or revisionism to the new faith for this title shall hardly be a huge mystery, but this information has been intentionally blurred. Now do you see how this great deception has went out to the whole corners of the earth? For the heathens still find a way to hide themselves and not to be revealed so they can worship Satan and worship the hosts of the heavens and the most high creations. While the masses not aware of this because they thinking that they are actually following Yahushua HaMashiach. They actually thinking that they are following the Son of God, but they're not. Now we are beginning to see how cunning and how deceptive the children of Satan are, my people. This is why we got to be on top of our game. And this is why we have to study the word and also look at the language, the Hebrew, the Koine Greek, the Aramaic, whatever it takes so we can expose the truth and get rid of these lies. Now we have a great example. Oh, I also want to say this. I will put a link of this into the video description box so you can read his whole website for yourself. But now we're going to look at this example that we have in the Bible, which confirmed that what the Gentiles would do, how they would combine pagan heathen ways to the truth, okay, which can be found in Acts chapter 14, verse 8 through 18. From verse 8 through 11, it says that a certain man at Lystra, who was crippled since the time he was born, and because he was crippled, he can never walk. So when Paul, when Paul came across him, he healed this man, and the people saw what Paul done. And if you notice in verse 11, the people had said that Paul and Barnabas are the gods. Okay, let me say this again. And in this verse, it said that the gods are come down to us in the likeness of men. So the people were saying that Paul and Barnabas were gods. Okay. So I'm going to read verse 12 to 13 so you can see what was going on. And they called Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercurius, which is Mercury. So they called Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercury because he was the chief speaker. This reminds me of what was written in Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19 through 20, and you'll see why. Then the priests of Jupiter, which was before the city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gates, and would have done sacrifice with the people. Which when the apostles, Barnabas and Paul, heard of, they rent their clothes and ran in among the people, crying out, and saying, Sirs, why do ye these things? We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you, that ye should turn from these vanities unto the living Yahuwah, unto the living El, which made heaven and earth, and the sea, and all things that are therein, who in time past suffer all nations to walk in their own ways. See, when mankind refused to worship and serve him, and that's dealing with the sons of Ham, Japheth, and Shem. Because see, they was taught to serve the Most High, but their children did not do that. So what the Most High did, he turned them over to worship the hosts of the heaven, to worship Satan and his angels. Verse 17, nevertheless, he left not himself without witness, in that he did good, and gave us rain from heaven in fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. So you probably say, who's this witness that he left? And that's Yahushua HaMashiach. I'm sorry, I have to correct myself. He left a witness that he is the El by his creations, such as rain coming from heaven, fruitful seasons, and him filling our hearts with food and gladness. Those are the evidence to prove there is only one true living El, one true living God. Okay? Verse 18, and with these sayings scarce restrained they the people, that they had not done sacrifice with them. So as you can see here, this is what happens with the Gentiles. And when you look at the curses of Deuteronomy chapter 28, dealing with the Hebrew Israelites, that was the punishment that they would receive, that their children will follow the Gentiles, and they will be in error. So we can see that it's evident today in these three major religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. Okay, so these links will be in your be in the video description box, so you can do a further study, and also there'll be some videos there to help you with this study as well. Now, going back to the Hebrew word for the follower of the Messiah, which is Mashiachim, or Messianic, or you can call yourself a Nazarene, okay? Take this time now to pause your screen to review the word Mashiach. That is the title of Yahushua. And as you can see where I got this word, Messianic, okay? Take this time now to pause your screen to get the rest of this. And most importantly, when you're reviewing when you're reviewing the Hebrew word, Mashiach, I want you to remember when you are reviewing this word, the Hebrew word, Mashiachim, which means followers of the Messiah, I want you to keep in mind about Ephesians chapter 5. Remember, a bride without spot or wrinkle, and will be holy and acceptable. Think about the gown. What's the color of the gown? White. Think about the color of the saints' garments. White. Think about the color of the garment that Christ would come in. It'll be white. Okay? So I have some good news. I found a website that would compare Paleo Hebrew, modern Hebrew. It also writes out what it will look like when we speak it, English and Greek. Take this time now to pause the screen so you can see the list of sources that this site used. But I want to make this clear about this website that I'm going to put in the description box. I do not agree with everything on this site. I am only using this site as an example to compare languages for educational purposes only. Okay? And that's what any website I share with you, because I stand by the word of the Most High. That's that 1611 and those hidden books. That's who I stand by. Okay. So when we look at these scriptures, Acts chapter 11, verse 26, and you compare in these different languages, and I really want to blow this up so you can see this. Now that's going to probably be a little bit too big. Let me bring this back down. So when we can make a comparison of all the different languages, we can actually see, when we look at Acts 11, verse 26, when we look at the word Christians, okay, when you trace it, it's Mashach Yakim. I cannot pronounce. I'm just going to pronounce what I can. Mashach Yakim. So when you trace this word, okay, even though they're going to have it in the Greek here, Christianos, okay, but when we look at the other verse, you're going to actually learn that it should have been Nazarene. That's something that the enemies of Yahuwah have done. They inserted that word in. Also, when we look at Acts chapter 26, verse 28, look at the word Christian. And when we trace that word, it should actually be Nazarene. Okay? Not Cristiano or Christianus. Take this time to pause the screen to look at that. And now we're going to look at Acts 24, verse 5. When we look at the word, a ringleader of the sect of the Nazarene. Okay. When we look at that word and trace it all the way through, we would have Nashriim. Okay. And when you see the word HA, it means the. So it means the Nazarenes. And notice that they do have a Greek word for that. Okay. And then the last one is 1 Peter chapter 4, verse 16. When you look at the word Christian, they would have from the Paleo Hebrew to the modern Hebrew to how we would speak that Hebrew. And in the English, Christian would be Mashach. Okay. And in the Greek, unfortunately, they have it as Christianos, but it should be Nazarene. So in summary of what we just learned, we finally learned the correct words to call ourselves my people. We learned that the title of Christ should be the Messiah. And the Hebrew word for that is Mashiach, which means anointed or anointed one. And when you see the word HA before these words, it means the. Now the word for us to be followers of Yahushua HaMashiach, we would either call ourselves Messianic or let me get my tongue right, Mashach Yakim. Forgive my tongue. And now we begin to talk about this word Nazarene. So we will call ourselves either Nazarene or Natsarim. Okay. And take this time to pause the screen to look at the different variations. And you can compare it to this Greek word Christianos, and you can see it doesn't match up. Okay. That's something that the enemies of Yahuwah have done, because they're trying to hide from us of whom they truly serve. So now we're going to get into this mystery of the Nazarene. Remember the title, The Mystery of the Vine, the Grapevine. Okay, so we know that Yahushua HaMashiach was from Nazareth, and that is confirmed in Matthew chapter 2, verse 22 to 23. And we know that Nazareth was a city that was located in Galilee. Therefore, he was called a Nazarene. Now, this is where it becomes important to read the Old Testament all the way to the New Testament, because the Most High is giving us a deep spiritual message here. Take this time to pause your screen to get that verse and to look at this information here as well. Okay? So when we study the word Nazarite or Nazarene, and excuse my phone, okay, we learned that a Nazarite means a prince that is consecrated unto the Most High. And a great example of that we have is Yahushua. And also I want you to think about Samson too. Remember Samson? Okay, and Delilah. Okay, remember that story. And a Nazarite means it is a person that separate themselves into the Most High, which can be found in Numbers chapter 6. So a Nazarite is consecrated or devoted or is a devoted one unto Yahuwah. Now, the Most High had me to look at these words. When you think about consecrated one, it means what? Holy and sanctified. Therefore, you'll be what? Set apart. So you would stick out like a sore thumb in this world. Because remember, we are in the kingdom of the Gentiles, and the leading ruling nation is Esau. Okay? So they are still caught up with idolatry and worshiping of the gods. They're not following the word of the Most High. So therefore, we're going to stick out like a sore thumb. He also had me look at the word devotee, and that means what? You are committed to the Most High. So what? We are in a covenant with the Most High and Yahushua HaMashiach. And also, when you think about the word vine, and you think about the Nazarite vows they have to do, but they can't cut their hair. And also, this word Nazarite in Hebrew will also mean an untrimmed vine. So that pertains to what? Israelites and Gentiles being in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach, which represents the church as bride. Read Romans chapter 11. So here's some interesting facts about the Nazarite, and I highly recommend in your spare time that you read Numbers chapter 6, for you will learn that a Nazarite can be a man or woman. And they cannot drink wine, strong drink, or vinegar or wine or strong drink, nor can they drink a liquor or grape. That means no grape juice. They cannot eat no grapes, nor dry grapes. And the reason for that is it pertains to being sober, not following the doctrine of men. Revelation 17, verse 2, and chapter 2, verse 15. Also, they cannot eat any food that is made of the vine tree, not even from the kernels, even unto the husk. So they cannot eat no parts of the grapevine. Okay. Also, when you read Numbers chapter 6, you will learn that they cannot cut their hair or put a razor to their head. They have to let the locks of their hair grow. Again, it's representing the vine, the untrimmed vine that represents the bride/church of Yahushua HaMashiach that are made up of Israelites, Gentiles, Greeks, Jews, man, woman, bond, and free. You can see how this is going. Now, also, you will come to find out that they cannot be near a dead body because of the concentration of the Elohim that is upon their head. Now, you probably say, what? Yes, when you study Torah, you begin to understand why. In Torah, you will learn that a dead body is unclean, and that can be found in Leviticus chapter 21, Numbers chapter 9, and Numbers chapter 19. See, a dead body is like the carnal representation of the unclean, the filthiness, the dung. And therefore we know Satan is the Lord of the dung, that's fifth, for he is the father of the children of disobedience and darkness. Do you see how this is all tied in together? So therefore, a dead body represents what? Death. And we know that death represents the grave, pit, death, Sheol, hell, which basically means no life, eternal death. Do you see how the Most High give us this carnal representation to understand what he's trying to tell us? For we know Yahuwah is the El of the living. That means he is the God of the living. He's not the God of the dead. That's Satan. He's over that. Okay. So when we look at this word concentration in Hebrew is Nizer, which is 85145, and it means crown. So the concentration of the Elohim that was upon their head that means you have a crown upon you. There's anointing upon you. Therefore, you would be a ruler / judge / king. Also, you can be also means prince, or to hold position in the kingdom or house of Yahuwah. Also, when you think about hair, think about your hair. It represents what? Glory. 1 Corinthians chapter 11, dealing with the woman, her hair is her glory. So that glory represents the light that is upon you. Remember how Yahushua Mashiach said, I am the light in this world? The light that is upon you, the anointing. Okay. So when their vow is complete, the shaving of their head is done at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation. So it's done at the door at the temple of Yahuwah, at the door at the tabernacle of Yahuwah. And the hair of the head of his separation is put in the fire, which is under the sacrifice of the peace offerings. Now, when I read that, my family, you know what this reminded me of? Zechariah chapter 6, verse 13. I have to read it word for word because it's a reason why the hair is placed under the sacrifice of the peace offering, because it's giving you the spiritual message pertaining to Yahushua HaMashiach. For it is written, even he shall build the temple of Yahuwah. Now we know this temple pertains to two things. Spiritual, that's the bride / church, and the 144,000. But when he come back in this earthly realm, he's going to rebuild the house of David. Okay, let us proceed. Even he shall build the temple of Yahuwah, and he shall bear the glory, and shall sit and rule upon his throne. And he shall be a priest upon this throne, and the council of peace shall be between them both. Do you see that? The council of peace shall be between him being the king and the high priest. Now, do you see how this relates? So what I would do if it's according to the Most High will, we will study Numbers chapter 6, and that would have to be for in another video for another time, because there's a deep spiritual meaning to understand what does it mean to be a Nazarene. Okay, so take this time to pause your screen to get these scriptures here pertaining to the word Nazarite. Okay, and I do want to point out that when you think about Shemitah, it represents 7 and 49. And we know 7 means perfection and glory, regenerated bodies. When you look at Jubilee, we think about the number 8 and 50, and it represents new beginning. When you look at, I believe it's Lamentation, it's going to mention the word ruddy. And I just want to make it clear that ruddy means reddish brown, which is confirmed even in the Gentile resources. And this can be found in wikipedia.org under red hair. Also, when you begin to learn with him being white, when you look at Songs of Solomon chapter 5 and Daniel chapter 11 and chapter 12 and Zechariah 13, 8 through 9, when it's saying white, it's pertaining to either you can be shiny as a bright white light, just as the sun shine, or white also represent righteousness. So take this time to pause your screen to get this information, as well as with this one to pertain to Nazarite. And with this part. So now we're going to sum this little part here up. So now that we have looked at this word Nazarite and Nazarene, now we're going to see what this is saying to us. See, like the lamb / shepherd, we follow him and his example. Therefore, we are consecrated and devote ourselves to Yahuwah by receiving salvation and water baptism in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Then we become a part of the vine, And we know that vine is Yahushua HaMashiach, that is forever growing. The gospel that is forever growing because of the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach is preached to all nations in the earth. And that gospel is, my family, the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And we also preach about the life of Yahushua HaMashiach and what he done for us. And by doing this, it shall glorify Yahuwah. And Yahushua dwell in us by his Spirit, known as the Spirit of Christ, the Comforter, and the Seed. Read John chapter 14-16, 1 John 3-9, Romans chapter 8, and Galatians chapter 4. For his Spirit dwell in us, just as the spirit of Elijah dwelt in Elisha and John the Baptist. Now, this is a warning I want to make clear about the water baptism. For there are many people preaching against this, and they don't realize when they're doing this, they are becoming antichrist. You're not following the example that the Messiah set for us. For it is confirmed in Mark chapter 16, verse 14-20, Acts chapter 2, chapter 8, chapter 11, chapter 16, and chapter 19. Those verses have confirmed to us that Christ and the apostles encourage and carry out the water baptism. The evidence is there. Read your word, my people. Okay? So now when we look at the untrimmed vine, a lock, it also is giving us another meaning. The wheat versus the tares. The sheep versus the wolves. You see, Yahushua is the vine and Yahuwah is the husband of the vine. In John chapter 15, verse 1, 4-5. So by Yahuwah being the husband of the vine, guess what's going to happen? We shall be redeemed, gathered, exodus, raptured, which mean taken from the earth, taken from the earthly realm. And that is pertaining to the 144,000 and the bride. But the nation of Israel shall remain in the earth. The Most High got some work to do on them. Take this time to pause your screen to get those scriptures to confirm what I'm telling you. For the word do tell you that the 144,000 and the bride/church shall be redeemed from the earth. Okay? But the nation of Israel shall remain in the earth because some other prophecies has to be fulfilled and the Most High has some more work to do on them. So how Yahuwah is the husband and what he does to divine, what it means that he shall refine you as silver, try you as gold, and purify you as white as snow. And I'm not talking about skin color. I'm talking about this as an analogy. This is why, my people, we are having tribulations. This is why we are being afflicted and oppressed by the enemies of Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach. For this is the tribulation that Matthew 24 is speaking of. We are in this tribulation now. The bride in 144,000 and the nation of Israel is in the Zion tribulation. Read 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 18-19. Okay? Therefore, when we go through these trials and tribulation, it what? Purify us, refine us, and try us. Therefore, we become righteous, sanctified, and holy unto Yahuwah. Again, read those verses that you see here and pause your screen to get that. So, when you begin to learn about the vine, you learn there's a prophecy that pertains to Yahushua HaMashiach dealing with the judgment that shall come upon the earth. You see, the vine of the earth, which is the vine of the prince of this world, and the prince of this world is Satan, shall be judged and receive the wrath of Yahuwah. Read Revelation chapter 14, 18-19. For there shall be the great pruning/tribulation upon the wicked. Again, take this time to pause your screen to look at the summary. So now we have learned again, the title of Yahushua is the Messiah, also known as HaMashiach, which means anointed or anointed one. And the word for us to be the followers of Yahushua HaMashiach is Messianic, Meshayakim, or Nazarene / Nazarene. Okay? Also, when I was looking up some things, I came across this word saints. And saints mean the most holy, and they are in heaven. So as when you get some time, read Ephesians chapter 5, verse 3. Okay? Also in the Hebrew, you will learn that the saints will be associated with this Hebrew word Kodash, H6918. In other sources, you may see it spelled differently. Okay? But Kodash basically means set apart, sanctified, or sanctify. Okay? Again, these are the holy ones that are set apart unto Yahuwah. Okay? Now we're going to look at the juicy part now. This is the second part of the video. The name of Yahushua and Yahushua in the King James 1611 Bible. This is the proof that I want to show you, the confirmation. When you begin to study Joshua, you will learn that he had 3 names. Okay, so now we're going to look at the first name. The first name is Hosea, and it has many different variations as you see here. Take this time to pause your screen to get those variations. But the word Hosea means salvation, and it's H1954 for the concordance. So that's pretty simple, okay? Now, this is the next name of Joshua is the name that the most of the world will call the son of Yahuwah as Yeshua. But when you learn what the word means, Yeshua means he is saved. Okay. Now this word can be found in many verses. I'm going to list this the main 2. Ezra chapter 3 verse 2 and Nehemiah chapter 8 verse 17. H3442. Okay. Now when you look at this word Yeshua, I'm sorry, my people, it does not line up with the word Jesus or Zeus. Okay. It doesn't line up with that. And you will see why as I give you the proof, because I found the evidence. Well, not me. The Most High led me to the evidence about the true Greek word for Yeshua should be Iosha. Iosua. Iousa. Okay. And you will see as we go further in this video. So Jesus is not the English name for the son of Yahuwah. It should be Joshua. And here's the proof, my people. Okay. When you go to Blue Letter Bible site, you will notice that they got Joshua in quotations, in parentheses, beside Jesus, and it appeared in 2 verses. That's one confirmation, okay? But the confirmation I'm about to share with you come from the 1611 Bible. So when you look at the word Jesus, it's an English word, and it comes from a Latin word, which is Zeus, okay? And that was a different variation of it. And to let you know, Latin does come from the Romans, okay? Which come from a Greek word, I think it's Iesus, okay? You can see that, G2424, okay? Take this time now to pause your screen. Now, you will find this word in the New Testament, Acts chapter 7, verse 45, and Hebrews chapter 4, verse 8. There you find that it does pertain to Joshua, the son of Nun. Okay? So when I compare this word to his true name, when I compare this word to Yeshua, and that's another way to spell Yeshua, I would say Yashua, okay? Yashua, okay? When I compare this word Jesus, when you go from the English to the Latin to the Greek and compare it to the Hebrew, they do not match, okay? So in the King James 1611 Bible, I want you to take a look here. The evidence can be found in Ezra chapter 3, verse 2. In the side note, now, this is a very old version of the 1611. This is why you see an F and not an S. But for my copy, I have Iosua. That is the Greek way to spell Yeshua. Okay? Take this time to pause your screen to read this verse, because in the 1611 Bible, Yeshua is spelled Ieshua. But in the Hebrew, we would say Yashua. Okay? And the precept to that verse is Haggai 1:1, because what it's telling you there, that Joshua is the son of Jozadak. Okay? We're going to see that in a second, which is here. That's the confirmation that this was pertaining to the second name of Joshua, which is Yeshua. But but for me, I like to say Yahshua. Sorry. Take this time to pause your screen to get that. And for the picture, you can see. Let me see, can I find his name for you? It's right here. It starts right there. Take your time to pause the screen to get that. So now we have in the New Testament, let me make sure I'm looking at the right thing. Yeah, in the New Testament, we have proof of his name, his true name. Because in the Greek, it should be Iosua. Okay? And in the side note, when you see the word Jesus here, because my copy have Iosua. That's the proof. And it's letting you know that the true English name should have been Joshua. And his name will go back to Yahushua, okay, which is confirmed in Numbers chapter 13, verse 16. So I'm going to take you there now. So take this time now to pause your screen to look at that. Okay. Now we're going to look at Numbers chapter 13, verse 16. This is the proof that is there. Ose, which is the first name of Joshua, which means Hosea, the son of Nun, Yahushua. Okay? This is the name that should have been in Hebrews chapter 4, verse 8. So the correct English word should have been Joshua, and the correct Hebrew word should have been Yahushua. This is a proof I'm giving you. This is from the Bible itself, right here. Because the King James 1611 Bible giving you the Greek words that should have been there. Okay, so when you look at these other sources, it would confirm to you of what the heathens have done, the enemies of Yahuwah. Another site to prove to you what I'm telling you as this word that's found in Ezra 3:2, Iosua. When I went to this site, guess what it said? It translates to Joshua. This link, if I have room, would be in the video description box. But if I don't have room, take this time. Okay, here go the link. Take this time to pause the screen so you can get that for yourself. I'm going to bring this up just a little bit so you can get the picture in this wholeness. Okay. So now this brings us to the proof about this word Jesus. It is not what you think it is. This is the heathen name. And I don't want to spoil the surprise dealing with a son of a deity. But I want you to hear how this word is pronounced.
Strong's G 2424. Iesus.
Now I want you to hear it from a YouTube video.
Jesus.
So when you hear that word again, it is not matching up to his Hebrew name. Also on the Gentile website, this is proof to you that they tried to take this pagan word, which is Jesus, or Jesus, and they try to tie it in with Yeshua or Yashua. Okay, they try to tie it in, but there it said that Yashua is a contracted form of Yahushua. Okay, Now, I'm going to tell you right now, Yahweh is a Greek word. It's not a Hebrew word, okay? Again, they're trying to deceive you because they know who they serve. They want to serve Satan, but they want to do it behind the scenes, so you won't be aware of it, okay? Take this time now to pause your screen because we're also going to talk about these words. They would spell it as JHESUS and JHESU. Take this time to pause your screen because it's a very deep thing they are doing behind the scene. Okay, this come from their site. All right, even it show you again. It's giving you confirmation of what you heard on Blue Letter site and on YouTube of how that name is pronounced. Okay. So again, if you notice on that website, when you go to this website here, dealing with Winky pertaining to the word Jesus, you would know, see what it relates to, Jesuit. Again, these people are hiding behind the scene. They are evil and they're trying to get you to worship another God, another deity. They don't want you to worship Yahuwah. Okay. Now we get into the real juicy part. So the meaning of Jesus or Jesus, which is Latin, or Jesus, which is Greek, excuse my tongue, it means the son of Zeus. This is no joke. I'm telling you. It means the son of Zeus. So when you understand who Zeus really is, it goes back to Jupiter, which goes back to Baal, and that goes back to Satan. So this so-called false Messiah is actually representing the son of Satan, which actually also represent what the last Antichrist or the last anti-Messiah. Do you see what they are doing? So one of the great deceptions that's coming that many people going to worship the anti-Messiah. They're going to fall for this false Christ because this Christ that they think is actually not. This is why we got to do our homework, my people. So do you see how they hide behind words of the heathen pagan language from English to Latin to the Greek? So you would probably ask, so as you can see here, the question is, which Messiah are they serving? Of Yahuwah or of Satan? You see, my people, they know who they are serving, but you do not know. This is why the Hebrew language is put away for the truth, so that the truth cannot be revealed on what they are truly doing. This is why it's so important for us to go back and look at the language. So when we speak the Gentile or the heathen language, Yahuwah knows who we are calling upon, for he can see the heart of man, which reveals who he truly is serving. So what I'm saying to you is that even myself, I was ignorant of this, and I called upon those names. But even the Most High heard my cry, and he knew in my heart who I truly served. So therefore, he still answered my call. But as I began on this walk, as he took me down this journey with him, and now that he has shown me the truth, I cannot say and speak these names. If I say these names, my people, I want to make a correction. It's dealing with somebody who don't have the understanding to know what I'm saying. But I would let them know when I speak these Hebrew words, it is to represent whom they think I'm talking about. So, for example, when we are ministering to those who do not have this knowledge and understanding, we need to have patience with them. So there are times you may have to say these heathen, pagan words so they can understand whom you are talking about. And then as time progresses, then they will learn from you the true words, the true words we should be saying. Do you see where I'm going with this? So in the Greeks, they looked upon the Messiah as the son of Zeus. Remember Acts 14:8-18? Remember how they called Paul and Barnabas gods? Do you see what they did? I have another proof. This is on the website. Now, this is a person who is actually from Greece. And I want to blow this up so you can really see it. On the website, on Yahoo Answer, this person had a question. Let me go back up so you can see. Because you may have to write this down if I don't have room to post it in the video description box. This person said, does the Greek word Jesus mean the son of Zeus? And this person said to them, yes, Jesus means son of Zeus. I am Greek. I came to America 2 years ago. And this picture was taken this year. So this is why you see 8 years ago. Okay? That's just confirmation type of confirmation. So I want you to remember about your grace and mercy in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. Because in Acts chapter 17, verse 29, see, Yahuwah winked at our ignorance. But as he's bringing us out of darkness into the light, now that we know the truth, we know not to do these things. And therefore we will share with others. But you remember, you have to have patience with others who are not awakened and who do not understand. The same way our Father in heaven had patience with you. So remember, the same way he give us grace and mercy, we should do the same for our brothers and sisters who are not there yet. Okay? Now, this is a chart here. I want to minimize this so you can pause the screen and look at this, of how they corrupted Yahushua name to this pagan word, Jesus. So take this time now to pause the screen to get that. Sorry about that. Let me try this one more time. There you go. Okay. All right. It's not how computers do. So now we are beginning to get so now that we learned that Jesus means the son of Zeus, here's proof that it actually is a deity or a man that had this name. When you do your research, you will learn that I cannot pronounce it. H1954, and that's another way to spell it, is the correct word that will relate to the Latin word for Jesus and to the Greek word that you see here. And you will learn that H1954 was the son of Zeus and Electra. Okay. And and he has other versions of how his name is spelled. Take this time. I'm going to blow this back up again to pause your screen because I want you to see what I had typed out so you can read this for yourself. Okay, let me, you know how it is with your computer. Let me try to get this back. Okay, so let me go back up. You know how it is with computers. Okay, here we go. So take this time now to pause your screen to get this information because there was one website that was really good and deep. And remember I tell you about this word JHEUS? Remember that from that other site I told you about with Wikipedia pertaining to Jesus? But this would definitely relate to this. Because when you learn about these Greek words, Isos or Asos, it and also Zeus derived from a Greek word that means the healing. And that Greek word is Aesis, I cannot pronounce it, or Essos. Okay? And Essos pertains to a Greek goddess, for that Greek goddess has the powers of healing. And it was associated with sun worship. So now do you see what the heathens has done? By giving the world the name Jesus or Jesus, they are now worshiping the sun, and the word Jesus is related to the sun god Apollo. Okay, so this is how Constantine was able to still remain in his heathen paganistic ways, and at the same time to be called a Christian. That's what Christians do. They are combining the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach with idolatry. Okay, this is also evident with the Egyptian goddess or gods, right? Isis and her son Horus, because they was also giving the abilities to heal. So the sons of Zeus will have, different variation of how they spell this name that you see here above. So take this time now to pause your screen. But another thing that she really brought out on her website, I assume that was a she. If I'm wrong, I apologize. It comes from angelfire.com. What she really brought out was that this word IHS. Now I remember seeing this even on a Christian station or something. And what it does, this word is a Roman or a Latin word, and it comes from the Greek word IES, okay? And this is the abbreviation of Jesus, or you can say the abbreviation of Jesus. And this can be found in the Roman Catholic and the Orthodox Eastern Church on their altars and garments, etc. And she said this represents the name Jesus, IHS, and she found how the way to spell it in the Greek. Okay. And it even pertains to the mystery named Bacchus. And now Bacchus is a sun god, which is also known as Tammuz, sun god. And with Bacchus is also known as this word here that I cannot pronounce, but it means fish. And this is where the Christians get their symbol of the fish to represent Yahushua HaMashiach. So they think that it's coming from the word with the fish and the bread thing that we read in the gospel. But what we're learning now, it has nothing to do with the word the Most High. This is how them doing with worshiping idols. Okay, so take this time now to pause the screen, because I know you definitely want to get that. So now we can see this is why Christians celebrate Christmas on December 25th, because it has to do with Tammuz, which relates back to Bacchus. Okay, again, the sun god. All right. So as we can see, Christianity is based and rooted in sun worship. Now, I'm going to be honest, this screen here, you want to pause and get a picture of this, because when I went back to that site, that picture is no longer available. But this is the only picture that I can find of the son of Zeus and Electra, known as Zion or Jason. Okay. Take this time now to pause your screen and get that. Now, here is the family tree of Zeus. Okay. Take your time and pause the screen now, and you can find Jason right over here. Like I said, it's different ways that he spell his name, but it's IASIUS. Okay. And this came from www.mythman.com. Now, here's another one you want to take your time and pause your screen, because I'm not going to read all of this, but I really want you to read this one because it talks about the hosts of heavens. And it's again confirming Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse 19 to 20. But the part that I want to read to you is that Sion is probably just an alternative name for Ision above. See, in their resources, and this is based on history now, it says that one of the inhabitants of the islands of Samothrace, a certain Sion, who was a son, as some say, of Zeus and Nymphi. Now, Nymphi will pertain to this number 4 here. Okay. But according to others, of Hermes and Ray, gathered into one body the peoples who were dwelling in scattered habitations and established laws for them. So there was this saying that this person here was the one who gathered these people together and established laws for them. But also they were trying to say that he was of a god. He was a son of a god. Again, only thing I'm going to say on that, you got to read Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. So take this time now to pause your screen to get the rest of this information. Okay. And it'll be the same thing with this part here. Take this time now to pause your screen to get this information, because I'm not going to read this. The only thing I just want to point out is that Jason has a brother named Ioudaios. Okay. And that Ioudaios was also by Zeus as well. Okay. And Electra was his mother. And in the In the heathens' mythology, she is the daughter of Atlas. Okay? Now, for these resources that is pertaining to Jason, you want to pause your screen and write this stuff down, because I know I probably won't be able to post all of these resources in the video description box. And the same thing here from number 5 to 15. Take this time to pause your screen to write down these resources as well. Now, another confirmation that can be found in the Bible to show you that how the enemies of Yahuwah have been replacing words is in John chapter 19, verse 19. For the word Jew, when you think about it, it didn't come out until the 18th century, and the 18th century pertains to the 1700s. Now, the King James Bible, 1611, you think about it, it didn't come out until the 1600s. So this is proof to show you that the enemies of Yahuwah try to tamper with the word of the Most High, but with this same book, the Most High left us clues to prove his truth. And to make this short, the word Jew actually comes from Judean, and the Hebrew word for Judeans are Yahuwdim. Okay? Take this time to pause your screen so you can get the Greek word for that. Okay? Because we're going to talk about that in a second. So when you get to John chapter 19, verse 19, you will see that the words that was actually written on Yahushua HaMashiach cross was Yahushua of Nazareth, the king of the Judeans. And this is right below here is the Latin version of that. Okay? And I highlighted this word Jesus to let you know this is what they inserted. But the correct one should be, I'm going to scroll down to in a second, should be Yahushua. But take this time now to pause your screen before I scroll down. Okay. So where we see, let's see, can I find his name in the Greek? In the Hebrew, it should be Yahushua. And in the Greek, they have a Zeus right here. I can see it right here. Okay. But that just to let you know that the enemies did this. Okay. Not the ones who translated the 1611 Bible for King James. Because remember, it was done in 1611. Okay. Also, when you read that verse of John 19:19, notice that the name of the city was not mentioned. That's a mystery pertaining to that. So just watch, they come in pairs: Egypt, Assyria, and Israel covenant, and the two Jerusalem, to understand that. But now getting back on the topic dealing with the correct word for Jews should be Judeans, okay, which come from the Hebrew word Yahuwdim. All right. And take this time to pause the screen so you can see how it went from the English, okay, and that word wasn't, start being used until the 1700s. Then how it went from the English to the Roman, which is Latin, to the Greek version, okay. Now the single form of this word is Yahudai, okay, and that can be found in H4886 and you will have different spelling this word. But with the Most High language in Hebrew, you won't see YEH, you will see YAH, YAHU. Okay? Remember, his name is in his prophets and in the Hebrew Israelites names. Which bring us to this, with this word Yahuwdim. A lot of them would say they would call Yahuwdim because of the word Judah. What they won't mention is that the reason why they call Yahuwdim, because it pertains to the house of Judah. And when you understand what the word house means, I'm going to bring this up now. When you understand what the word house means, it means kingdom or nation. So when you see the word Yahuwdim, it pertains to the kingdom of Judah, okay? And in this kingdom, you have 4 groups of people. You have the tribe of Judah, the tribe of Benjamin, the tribe of Levi, and you had the remnant of the northern kingdom. Now, to understand why you get 13 tribes, you have to understand Torah. For the tribe of Levi was separate unto the Most High, so they wasn't accounted. But when you read Revelation chapter 7, that the tribe of Levi will be in the 144,000, but not the tribe of Dan. They will not be in that group. Now, the tribe of Dan will be back into the Holy Land, but there's something else that has to happen for them, okay, according to the prophecies. But if you are a Danite, you can still receive salvation and baptism and be in the body of Yahushua HaMashiach, okay? Which brings me to this. There's a video that would be in the video description box. Then this is proof. This is from another person. I'm assuming he's a Gentile by his appearance. I'm not for sure, but he gave an excellent lecture about this. And in this lecture, he gives you the proof of that the word Jew was not was inserted. In other words, the correct word is Judean. Okay, so take this time now to pause your screen to read all of this. Okay, and in that video, you will see how he give you the breakdown of what that Latin word means, and it means Yahushua of Nazareth, ruler of the Judeans. So let me bring this up a little bit more. So the Hebrew word is Yahuwdim or Yahuwdim for Israelites or Judeans. Now, this word will apply to all Hebrew Israelites, and it represented the southern kingdom. And we know the southern kingdom is the house of Judah or the kingdom of Judah. Take this time now to pause your screen to get those scriptures to prove to you that all 12 tribes were still in the land during the time when Yahushua HaMashiach was preaching the gospel. And there will be a video also in the description box to give you more understanding about that as well. Okay? So now you probably ask yourself, so why are the KJVA using the word Jew or Israelites and not Israelites or Judeans? And that's because their leader / elite, know they are not the children of Israel. So today, the Gentiles call all Hebrew Israelites Jews, but the correct word is Yahuwdim / Israelites / Judeans. Okay? Take this time now to pause your screen. These links will be in the video description box so you can have access to it. And there's a prophecy to give you more understanding why the Khazars and the sons of Esau are allowed to assume the identity of the Hebrew Israelites. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is a couple photos, and it might not be the best. I'm going to try to blow this up so you can see it, because Facebook has been trying to find a way to disable this link. And it comes from overlordofchaos.com. Again, it would confirm what I just went over with you about the word Jew. Okay. Another photo is coming from Wikipedia.org, confirming about the history of the word Jew. And you can see how it was translated into the English word today. Okay. Now we're going to look at a map pertaining to the province of Judea. Remember, the same thing that's done today with countries and how within those countries they divide them up in states was also done in the time of the ancient Romans. Okay. So I want to give you an idea how big Judea was. Judea started from the border between Samaria and Judea, as you see here. You see the Jordan River going to the Judean mountains, leading back into the Jordan River. Okay? And that's the outer boundary. And it goes all the way down, my people, to the southern borders of Judea, where we have the river of Sihor, or the river of Egypt. Okay? I'm going to try to minimize this so you can really get this photo. Now, how it is with your computer. Take this time now to pause your screen to look at all of this. Okay. And notice how this border extends out. This is where the land of Edom is. Okay. It extends all the way out to the borders of Edom, and then it slowly come back in, back leading into the river of Egypt, which is the river of Sihor. Okay. Sihor. Now that we had a detailed discussion about the second name of Joshua, which was Yahushua, we are now we're going to talk about the third name of Joshua. Now, take this time to pause the screen, because here is Paleo Hebrew of his name written, and also an ancient Hebrew. You see the picture of his name written. And again, Hebrew has meaning, a definition, and it's a reason. But when you learn about Yahushua, it means I am he who saves, or he who delivers. And pay attention when you see YAHU, because that means I'm he. Okay. Again, take this time to pause the screen so you can get those scriptures. Now we ought to discuss the Greek version of Yahushua, which is Iosuah, and that's in Hebrews 4 and 8, which is confirmed in Numbers 13:16 and Haggai 1 and 1 to let you know that was Joshua's third name. Okay. So again, Jesus or Jesus is not Joshua. Okay. That word Jesus means the son of Zeus. And in the New Testament, the Savior English name should have been Joshua. Okay. Not Jesus. So take this time to pause your screen. For as you can see here, I give you the other words for Hosea, for Yahushua. Okay, that's the Greek word for that. And then for Yahushua. Okay, so in the Greek language, they were calling Christ the son of Zeus, the son of Hadon, which is the son of Baal, which is the son of Satan. Zeus to them represent El, just like Nimrod was represented El in his time. This is why those who are awakened no longer uses the name Jesus or Jesus. Remember Acts 17:9, how the Father is weakened at our ignorance, but now he's bringing us out of darkness into the light. Take this time now to approach the screen to get the other spelling variation of Jesus. And remember, I will definitely try to put her website in the video description box so you can see how Jesus tie into Isos, IHS, IES, and to the sun god Apollo and Tammuz. Okay. So here are some nice pictures dealing with the Son and the Father name. We have here Paleo Hebrew, also Picto Hebrew. Okay, take this time now to pause so you can get the meaning of that. Now we're going to look at the Father name, which is Yahuwah. And his name is confirmed in the King James 1611 Bible. Okay, take this time to pause the screen so you can get that. And basically what his name means, I am he who is, or I am he who is. Okay, and that can be confirmed in these scriptures here. Remember, Yahweh is a Greek word of the Greek translation. It is not Hebrew. And I'm going to put this link in the video description box if there's room. If not, go ahead and write this down. It comes from Double Portion, because it says here in her website, why use Greek writers for evidence anyway? Greeks were notorious for altering Hebrew names. Compare Hebrew and Greek names. Notice the A or A ended in Hebrew versus E in Greek. And what she's talking about, there's a chart of names she's put there that comes from the Bible. And notice how those names are spelled with the ending of a H or A. Okay, for comparison. Another proof or evidence of the Father name, part of his name, is Yah. And that is in Psalm 68:4, and that means the same, H3050. So see how that is spelled? That is in the Father name. Okay. Also, I am he, which is confirmed in Isaiah 41:4, and in the names of Elijah and Obadiah. Okay. 1 Kings 17:1 and 1 Kings 18:3. When you look at the side note, and I have pictures of that, which you will see, But again, it's a part of the Father name. YAHU. See that? Okay, now we're going to look at the pictures of Elijah with the side note. When you look at the side note, see how Elijah's name, it ends in IAHU. And when you convert it to the Hebrew, it'd be YAHU that we see here. See that? Same thing with Obadiah, with his name. In the side note of the 1611. IAHU. Take this time now to pause the screen to look at that. So now also in the concordance, we have the word he. And the Hebrew words for he is HUW. Again, that's in the Father name. Let me go back because you really need to see this. So we have HUW. See that? He. That's in the Father name. Okay. So let me go back down there so you can pause your screen and get that information. Also, the word hallelujah. For those who had the 1611 Bible, you would see that it's spelled ending with IAH, which means Yah. See that? And it means praise ye Yah or praise ye Yahuwah. And it's the combination of two Hebrew words, Hallel and Yah, H1984 and H3050. Now, when you look in the New Testament, you will see spelled as Eliiahu. That's the Greek word for hallelujah. Okay? And that concordance number for that Greek word is G239, and it's actually spelled HALLELOUIA. Do you see how when you look at the Greek that it matches up with the Hebrew? Again, it's confirming how the word Jesus and Christian and Christ is not matching up. So take this time now to pause your screen so you can look at this for yourself, because this comes from the 1611. And then we have the Hebrew alphabet in Psalms chapter 119. This is more proof. So we can get the Father name and the Son name from the 1611 Bible alone. Also, there's some pictures I want to show you, but I do that after I talk about the word Judah. Even when we look at the word Judah, Judah means praise Yahuwah, H3063. For in Genesis 29:35, Leah said, I will praise Yahuwah. Just looking at the way looking at the way Judah is spelled. And you can often see it spelled YAHUWDAH or YAHUWDAH. Okay? Which you see here for short. And we already talked about the word Yahuwdim, which is, and that word means worshiper of Yahuwah. Today they say Jew, but the correct word would be Judean or Hebrew Israelites. Okay? Now these are the pictures I want you to see with the King James 1611 Bible. I have to remember how to get there. About with the name. Because the Father name is written in modern Hebrew in the King James 1611. And I'm hoping I can pull it up. But you know how it is with computers when you need it to pull up where it won't come up. Okay, here go one. If for those who have their 1611 Bible, you will see this. But there's a cover page that goes before your Old Testament and your New Testament. This is a cover page for the New Testament. But as you can see here, see how you have the Father name in Hebrew? I'm going to blow this up. I really want you to see this. Do you see that? So there's evidence in that 1611 Bible. So here's the conclusion of the video pertaining to the mystery of the vine and the name Yahuwah and Yahushua HaMashiach in the 1611 Bible. When we look at these verses in John chapter 15, we learn that he is the true vine and that Yahuwah is the husband. And that we also learn that Yahuwah is the one who try us, purify us, and refine us. Because through our trials and tribulations, that is what make us righteous and holy unto him. Okay? Because in other words, when we go through stuff, it make us better. And we learn not to make those mistakes, and we teach others how not to repeat those mistakes. Also, we learn in John chapter 15 that he is divine and we are the branches that come from him. And because he is in us, because Christ is in us, therefore we can produce much fruit. In other words, we're going to have the fruits of the Holy Spirit, which is in Ephesians, I want to say chapter 5, not chapter 5, Ephesians chapter 6, I want to say, but definitely Galatians. I know it's in the book of Galatians, but look for the bubble box for the verses for the fruit of the Spirit. Okay. So we're going to produce much fruit. We're going to produce great spiritual fruits. And we're going to bring others into the body of Yahushua HaMashiach. But if we don't have Yahushua, in other words, if we don't receive Yahushua, then we have nothing, as he said here. He that abideth in me, I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me, ye can do nothing. So we do all things through Yahushua HaMashiach. We also learn in John chapter 15 that those who are not of him and those who are not of him and them who don't have Yahushua in them, they're going to be cast into fire and burned. Okay? Which is confirmed in Matthew 15 verse 13. For the words say that every plant which my heavenly Father have not planted shall be rooted up. Okay? So again, it's confirming what he said in John chapter 4 verse 6, that he is the way, my people, the truth and the light. And the only way we can get to the Father, we got to go through the Son. So when you look at John chapter 3 verse 35, it's confirming what the book of Revelation has been trying to tell us. Again, if we don't receive him, Yahushua HaMashiach, then we won't be able, then we will be denied the Father. You got to receive the Son. If you don't receive the Son, you will not have everlasting life. You're going to have eternal death. And the wrath of Yahuwah shall be on you. Okay? So when we look at the book of Revelations, when you look at this mystery of the vine, you understand what this vine represents and the mystery of being a Nazarene. And I know people are looking at these times and seeing how great evil is. This is the mystery that the vine has been trying to tell you. He is telling you that the time is coming for the gathering of the clusters of the vine of the earth. For the grapes are ripe, for the wickedness is great and ripe for judgment. This is why it may seem like it's taking forever, it's taking long. But the Most High give us all a chance and an opportunity to come to him. And at the same time, he's waiting for the appointed time like he did in the days of Noah. See, in the days of Noah, evil was so great upon the earth that it had to be put out. And the same shall happen in our time, that the evil now is so great that now judgment is coming. And we are seeing that in these signs. So in your spare time, read Joel chapter 3, verse 13, and Revelation chapter 14, verse 14 through 20. But I do want to point this out in Revelation 14:14. Notice the manner on how Christ shall come. He's going to come on a cloud. Not no UFO, not no space device. You need to know the word. Beware of the children of Satan. They're very deceptive and clever. This is why the Messiah said, I am the light in the world. And this is why he said, let me say this right. This is why Yahushua Messiah said, as I am in the world, I am the light of that world. I am the light of the world. And that light, my people, dwell in us. Okay? Also, I want to point out in Revelation 14, verse 20, that it says that blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horse bridles by the space of 1,600 furlongs. So when you convert that, you get 1,120,000 feet of blood of the wicked. And that winepress represents the judgment that would come upon the earth. Because now the wickedness on this earth, my people, is so great. And that is now ripe for judgment. Okay? Take this time now to pause the screen to get the summary dealing with the correct Hebrew words. So for Christ, you can say Messiah, or you can say Hamashiach. For being a follower of the Messiah, you can say Mashiachim, or Nazarene, or Nasrim. Okay? And we learned that we are holy, we are set apart, so we will not be of this world, and we are committed to Yahuwah and Yahushua by the new covenant that Yahushua HaMashiach made for us. So take this time to pause the screen to get this. We also learn that the consecration upon our heads is the crown that we shall receive. Read 2 Ezra chapter 2, 1 Peter 5 and 4, Revelations chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 21, etc. Okay? And this covenant that we are committed ourselves into are sealed by the blood of the Lamb. Okay? Again, to enter the covenant and to be consecrated unto the Most High, we have to receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10 and be baptized in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, the water baptism. And as for the nation of Israel, they shall be taken care of by Yahushua HaMashiach. For our Father Yahuwah has some work to do on them in this earthly realm. And for those who have met some of my brothers and sisters who are in those false doctrines, you will see why. Don't worry. Pray for them, because Yahuwah going to deal with them, my people, in the wilderness. So as we can see, Yahushua HaMashiach is the son of Yahuwah, El, and he's one of the three in the Elohim head. He is the son of Adam, and we know Adam means man, so he is the son of man. He's also the son of Abraham and the son of King David, and by him being those sons of them, he is of the blood of the faithful and the royal. In other words, he has the faithful and royal blood in his body. Therefore, this is why he is the King of kings and the Master of masters. Now we understand why he is the Nazarene, because he is anointed to wear that crown and to carry this title. For he has devoted himself to Yahuwah, and he was consecrated by Yahuwah. Therefore, he is the prince, the king and ruler over all of us in heaven and earth, and he take his orders from Yahuwah. This is why he is called the Hamashiach. This is why he is called Hamashiach. Okay? The Messiah, the anointed one, because he has the Father Spirit, the living word, and the Holy Spirit / Spirit of wisdom, the mother, in him. And the Spirit of wisdom, the mother, is the 7 eyes of Yahuwah, which is the full powers of Yahuwah. So he had all of that in his body, dwelling in one body that is of a holy earthly vessel. For he is the fully regenerated second Adam. These videos will be in the description box for you to look at, my people. I want to give all praises and thanks to the Most High for giving us this great understanding of the vine, and give us the understanding of the correct words we should be using to call ourselves. For we are the Nazarenes, the Mashachakim, the Masonic believers. Okay? The Most High left us a message, my people, to the Hebrew Israelites and to the Gentiles. Please watch that. Please Know Thy Enemy. Watch the 3-part series of They Come in Pairs. And to understand how Yahushua HaMashiach is the comforter that dwelled in us, watch that video. And Facebook has tried to block this video, The Mystery of the Messiah, of the Fullness of Yahuwah. When you get some time, that video is not as long as this one, but definitely watch that because they've been trying to block it. And then to take care of this false doctrine about this Greek word, Sabbaton, for it does mean week also. Definitely watch that and see what the children of Satan are trying to do. They're trying to keep you from the King James 1611. For as you can see, all truth is proven by this same book. For we can find his name and his son's name in this book. The evidence is there. We just have to ask Yahuwah to give us the understanding. So I end with this prayer. I plead the blood of Yahushua HaMashiach upon this post and the links that is attached to this post. Yahuwah, I ask you that if anyone tried to stop this truth, that you afflict an evil judgment upon them until they repent and do what is right in the sight of your eyes. Also, Yahuwah, I pray that your truth go out to the 4 corners of the earth and that you and your people receive understanding for those who wants it. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, so be it. So, my family, preach the gospel. Make sure the people receive salvation and baptize them in the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. For where there's water, they can be baptized. Acts chapter 8. And I love you all. Shalom.